Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Attack on Productions. Fluff here, coming at you with another deck profile. But before we get into it, please do all the fun YouTubey stuff. It helps us, algorithms and such. Today we're looking at SS4 Vegeta. As you know, this is probably my favorite leader in the game. And with the new Saiyan Boost expansion and Namekian Boost expansions that came out, I just had to try something. I don't know, this deck is probably more in the fun category of things, but let's get into it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the leader is pretty simple. When you attack, draw, if you deal damage with the leader to your opponent, you reveal the top card of the deck. If it's a mono blue, you charge it in your energy. When you're at 4 or less life, you draw one card, flip the card over. On the back, we keep all the same effects. So when we attack, we get the draw, and then we reveal the top card of the deck, charge it to our energy if we deal damage. But we get the added benefit if your opponent uses a counter skill during our turn, we get to restand our opponent. Or we get to restand our leader once per turn. We don't get the draw again, we don't get the energy charge again, but it just kind of provides additional pressure and additional opportunities for us to charge our energy. So that's the leader. As you know, I like to start out with my Unison package. So in my opinion, the best blue Unison, we've got Zeno, Cosmic Unison, running this guy to 3 of. There are some weird interactions with this Unison because if you use the +2, you can't charge energy for the rest of the turn. So you want to get your charge off the leader first if you can. But one of the big reasons that we're using this is it's -5, where you choose all of your opponent's cards, all cards in all battle areas, ignoring barriers, shuffle them into the opponent's decks. So this is a fantastic way to clear the field, get resources out of your opponent's control back into their decks. So one of the things that blue really struggles with is most of their removal is return to hand. And in most instances, most cards have really good on-play autos. So putting things back in the hand is kind of like reloading the gun. So we don't want to do that if we don't have to. Zeno is a fantastic option to avoid that. So we run 3 Zeno. Then out of the new Saiyan Boost expansion, we run 2 of the Son Goku. So I wanted to include this at a higher copy of. In the video that you saw, I was running this guy at a 4 of. And the big problem with this Unison is kind of what makes it good, but I think that the problem presented by this Unison is far outweighs the good parts of the Unison. So going over its skills real quick, it's got an auto once per turn. When this card loses a marker due to the Spirit Boost skill, you choose 1 blue Saiyan card on your side of the field, and it gains 5,000 power for the turn. And then it's got on the +1, activate main. If your leader is a blue Saiyan card, switch this card to rest mode. Choose 1 skillless battle card with an energy cost of 2 or less in your energy and play it to your side of the field. Then at the end of the turn, place the top card of your deck in your energy in rest mode. So it's really good for getting skillless out for no energy. It's really good for creating board presence, but that is a +1, and then you're going to lose a marker if you activate Saiyan Boost. So it's not a net change in the card, and it's really difficult for this card to maintain. And then it's -1, activate main, choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards, return it to the owner's hand. So as I've said before, returning cards to the owner's hand is not always good. Your opponent did invest resources in playing it, but a lot of cards just imagine if you could pick up your Abuni and play your Abuni again, or if you could pick up your Charismatic Villain and play that again. Those are just not cards you'd want to send back to the opponent's hand. And very frequently, it does more advantage for your opponent to put a card back in the hand because they get the combo power still. They get the on-play autos. They get to play it again if they need to. So it's a very short-term solution. So we're only playing this to ramp out the cards in our energy, and that's it. Once it's done that, we can get rid of this card. We don't need it. It doesn't need to stick around. In all likelihood, the card's going to go away quickly anyway. Then at a 1 of, we do play the Majin Buu, Assault of the Agents of Destruction. This is fantastic for dealing with boss monsters or monsters that are giving us particular problems. So he's a double strike blocker. 0, activate main. Draw one card. At the start of your opponent's next main phase, switch this card to active mode. Your leader card is blue. Switch up to one of your mono blue energy to active mode. And then a -1 auto. When your opponent attacks with a battle card, you may choose one of their battle cards and place it at the bottom of the owner's deck. So if there's a card that's giving us problems, or we just need to be defensive, you can use this guy. It's also a great way to close out games too, because you can just tap 4, play it. It's a double strike that your opponent may not have prepared for. If your opponent wants to try to play through this, they can try, but it's going to get you a bottom deck, and then you're also going to get a block with it. So unless they're going to hit it with a triple strike or a quad strike or put a ton of investment, this will stick around for a while. So we just run it as a one of, as kind of a techie choice, but just that. Now, moving into our skillless package, I play 5 skillless. It doesn't really matter, just as long as they're blue, preferably Saiyan, just because Saiyan is a great tag. So in this instance, we're running 2 of the Super Saiyan Gohan and 2 of the Super Saiyan Trunks. They're both 2-drops. They're both 20,000. They really serve the same purpose in the deck. It's just important that you have options and that you see them. So we're running it at a 5 because really you only need to see 1 or 2 over the course of the game to get done what you need to do. So 5 skillless targets. Then we run 3 of the Chilled, Greatest Pirate Within the Cosmos. So this is unique once per turn. If this card's attack deals damage or removes a marker from a Unison, you can pay 1 blue energy to play up to 1 blue skillless battle card with an energy cost of 3 or less from your deck or drop area. Then you shuffle your deck if you look through it. But really importantly, activate main. If you have 3 or more energy, you choose 1 skillless battle card in your hand, discard it, and then play this card. So it's a free 19,000 that your opponent is highly incentivized to negate or prevent doing damage or prevent dealing markers, or like taking a marker off a Unison. Because if you do, you just get to play a skillless out. So usually on the turn that we try to go off, we'll try to play the skilled, we'll try to get in a damage or deal a marker, we'll play the skillless, and then we'll go off from there. Off of that chilled play, we're going to go into the 10-drop Sun Gohan Astonishing Strike. This is kind of the boss monster of the deck, the thing that we want to try to do with this. I would say the biggest problem with this is that it heavily telegraphs what it's trying to do. Once your opponent sees skillless, they're just going to kind of assume that you're going into this. So they're going to be prepared to remove the skillless if you sequence incorrectly or give them an opportunity to. So in a lot of instances, when you play the skillless, go straight into the Gohan if you can. Don't open a battle window or a counter window and give your opponent an opportunity to clear that skillless out. But for activate main, 4 energy. If your leader card is a blue Saiyan, your opponent has 3 or more energy. You choose 1 of your blue skillless battle cards with an energy cost of 2. Play this card from your hand and then charge the skillless into your energy. The second activate main is place 1 mono blue battle card from your energy into your drop area. Switch this card to active mode, then choose all of your opponent's battle cards, place them at the bottom of the deck in any order. So you get to swing 30,000 triple strike, activate main, place a blue battle card in your energy to the drop area, restand the Gohan, and then you can swing again for 30,000 triple strike after clearing their field. So it's incredibly powerful. It is very, very, very telegraphed though. So do be careful of that. I would say it's what makes this most fragile, is that it gives your opponent multiple windows and multiple opportunities to remove that skillless and prevent this from happening in general. But other than that, it's a fantastic finisher for the deck. Most of the time, if you see it, it's going to pressure your opponent to the point that the turn that it comes out or the turn immediately following, if your opponent can't close the game out or get rid of the Gohan, they've lost. Then going into another kind of skillless package, but more of a Bardock package. We've got Bardock Spirit Boost Avenger. It's a barrier. Spirit Boost, activate main, remove a marker from one of your blue Unisons, and then this card gains critical for the turn. But really the more interesting part is when this card is placed in your energy, negate its skills for the game. So it becomes a skillless in the energy. So if this is charged in your energy and you use the +1 on your Goku Unison, you can play this guy to the field. He then gets his skills back at that point because he's played in a new area. His area has changed, so the card is technically changed. So this can become a 20,000 critical on your turn. But more often than not, we're using those as targets for the Grade 8 Bardock, which for 2 energy, EX evolves from a Bardock in your energy. It's a 20,000 double strike blocker. When you play, you get to draw. At the end of the turn, you'll restand the Bardock, and you will restand, or you'll charge the top card of your deck in your energy and rest mode. So, absolutely fantastic. Pressure that comes out of nowhere, and I would say is the MVP of the deck. So this is amazing. Then next up, we've got our super combo. Again, quality blue Vegeta, bottom card, blue card, and then draw 2. So this is just going to fix the quality of cards in our hand. Let us dig. There is an argument that we should probably play Zeno in case we charge something important in our energy, but generally that's not an issue. We play enough cards in the deck that if we happen to charge a really good card, we're going to have more copies of that card or other things that we can do. So there's really only one card in the entire deck, and I'm sure you know what that is, that if we charged it, it just makes us cry. But that shouldn't happen all that often, so don't worry about that. If it happens, it happens, and you can still play the game out without that card. So 4 of those. Then we play 3 Son Gohan Babies Minion. Topo Light, basically. The turn that you play this card, it is a counter attack. It'll cost you 3 energy, but he's a 25,000 during your turn that has the Servant tag, so you'll get a 25,000 swing out of it, or you can just combo him off after this. But for the duration of the turn after he's played, when your opponent attacks, they have to choose 1 card from their hand and put it on the bottom of their deck, which really sucks if your opponent decides to play through these. And there are instances where you could play these 2 in 1 turn. So it basically becomes like having a topo, and then you have 2 25,000 swingers on field to deal with it. I initially had these at 2, but the more that I played, the more I wanted these guys. So I think these are really important, really good at a 3 of, just considering how much energy you have. Then I do run 2 of the SS Trunks Heroic Prospect. A lot of people will say you have to run this card at a 4 of. I completely disagree. I think the current format sees a lot of low aggro, like, you know, King Vegeta, Bardock's crew, Meki Kabura puts a ton of 4 drops out, and really once you get to turn 4 in that matchup, it's done. Against, you know, Dark Brawly, the card is fantastic, but that's one in a few matchups. Generally, your opponent is going to play their battle cards on curve, especially in this format. And once you get to a certain point, this is just a negate. It doesn't really do anything to stop your opponent from there. So I don't see the purpose in having 4 of these, though you could if it's your play style. I had this guy at a 3 of over the last weekend, and they ended up becoming charge targets, or more often than not, very late game, I would use them to negate 1. So didn't really do much outside of that, and it just kind of is what it is. Because it is blue, and because we are running 4 of the Trunks counters. The way that I was playing the deck this last weekend, I didn't actually use this card at all, because usually the Unison would get played. I'd activate the Unison's effect, and then my opponent would Zerg and kill out the Unison before I had a chance to actually drop a Trunks. So it happens. It's part of it. What are you going to do? Still the best counter in the game, so we're going to play it at a 4 of just to make sure we see it when we can use it. Then I'm playing 2 of the Baby Golden Avengers. These are another great way to end the game out. You know, once you get into the later turns and you're sitting on 6-7 energy, you've got a few battle cards on the field, you're going to start swinging. Your opponent is going to probably realize there's a Golden Avenger there, so they may not choose to negate. If they don't negate, you can combo heavy and pressure them and put them to a point where if they take 1 damage, the turn is done. But if they do negate, you tap 5, play the baby, get a draw, send a card back to the hand, or you pass with 5 energy, and then they play a card, then you can counterplay, play the baby, bounce a card, draw a card, and then you've got a 30,000 triple strike on the field. It's a fantastic card. If it wasn't a 5 cost, we'd probably run it at a 3 or 4 of, but where it is a 5 cost, we just don't need it clogging our hand throughout the game until we get to that point. So 2 of those. And the last battle card, of course, is Baby Hatch. Traditionally, I've preferred Goku Oob. at this slot in other King Vegeta decks, but where the point of this deck is not to get to 8 energy win, it's to kind of play the skillless package and punish your opponent for not playing the game in response to your statements. Baby Hatch is the better solution because it helps us survive to give us another opportunity to play what we need to play. So best secret rare in the game, well, I don't know. Supreme God Time might be better, but Baby Hatch is definitely up there. Then we've got 2 Senzu Beans for play extension. I kind of want this out of 3 of. I kind of want it out of 4 of. And then when I think about it out of 3 or 4 of, I think about how clogged it would get. In this deck, it probably could be a little more valuable at a higher count of, though I've been perfectly fine at a 2. I don't use them willy-nilly. I don't, I use them like I have 2 in the deck. So I will save them until it matters. And then once it matters, I'll take full advantage of it. And that kind of, for me, is like a rough way of making me play better instead of wasting resources. You play knowing that you only have a certain number of, and if you're going to use something, it really has to matter. So 2 of those. And then I played 4 of the Ultra Instinct Goku Kamehameha. These work so well with this leader. This is the card that I mulligan for at the beginning of the game. If I don't have one of these, I don't have a starting hand. Because basically, the first turn that you can attack, you're going to charge your energy, swing with your lead, get your draw. Your opponent doesn't negate. You tap, you put on Ultra Instinct Kamehameha. You draw a card on that, and then your opponent has to counter out or combo out of a 25,000 or take a damage and then let you charge. So if your opponent chooses to combo out of that, you're basically winning anyway because your opponent just sacrificed well over half of their hand in the first turn of the game to keep you from ramping. And if that's the sacrifice, then that's the sacrifice. You'll get your ramps after that anyway. So if your opponent chooses to combo out of that, you're still winning the game. Defensively, it's a 15,000 combo that restands your energy. So if you have 3 or 4 of these in your hand to defend with, your opponent basically has to push super hard to damage you. And then, last but not least, we run 4 Dimension Magics because this card's broken in blue. This is really how we're going to turn the baby minion on. You pass with 1 energy, spark a Dimension Magic, restand 2. Now you have a baby's minion active to stop your opponent. So that is the SS4 Vegeta deck. Let me know what you think about it. I think that I still personally prefer the classic SS4 Vegeta, which is more of the control style of the deck. And I'll probably end up taking the deck back to that. Though it was a lot of fun playing with the Spirit Boost stuff. And I'm really interested to see where they take Spirit Boost in the future. I think they have to make some corrections to the card standing in the game before Spirit Boost really takes off. And when they talk about the wide-spreading ban list coming, I think it has a lot to do with Spirit Boost and upcoming mechanics. So let us know what you think in the comments below. If you like this profile or if you'd like to see us do something else, please let us know. I think that's all I've got for you. So read your cards, know your plays. Let us make mistakes so you don't have to. And as always, Fluf out.